Hey everybody, welcome back to Discover SPRINGFORD. I'm standing in front of the Spring City Electrical Manufacturing Company, located at 1 South Main Street in Spring City Borough. This company has been in existence for a very long time, and it reaches beyond just Spring City and the Springford area. You'll find the work that this company produces in Central Park, Washington, D.C., many colleges and universities across the country, and also in Disney World. Today, I'm excited to sit down with the president, Alan Brink, to discuss the longevity of this company and how Spring City is producing well outside of the local area. I'm Geoff Desiato, a professional actor, part-time realtor, and transplant to the Springford area. And I'm on a mission to find the best that Springford has to offer. I'll be interviewing local business owners, civil servants, and other prominent members of the community to find out what makes Springford a great place to live, work, eat, and explore. I invite you to join me on my journey as I discover Springford. Alan, thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Let me start out by explaining the two names on the front of the building.
Yeah, we saw that with the intro.
You just saw that with the intro. And I also watched Bill Hoffman's program we're doing. You've heard of the Spring City Foundry. Spring City Electrical Manufacturing was originally a trade name created by the Spring City Foundry Company. When my partner and I bought this company in 1987, we legally incorporated it as the Spring City Electrical Manufacturing Company and picked up the trade name Spring City Foundry and continue to use it that way. The name Spring City Electrical Manufacturing really does refer to what we do. Yeah. We make electrical products, cast iron lampposts, and the LED fixtures that go on them. To answer, how did I get here?
Yeah, right.
I grew up in Western Michigan.
Oh, really?
Went to Lafayette College, Columbia University Business School, worked in management consulting in New York as well as LA. And then in 1987, I was getting a little antsy about working in the corporate world and wanted to get out and do something else. And I ended up talking to an old friend of an old boss of mine, John Andy Miller. And he had tried to buy this company for a corporate employer in 1982. The deal didn't happen because Sam Marcus, who was one of the people that owned it, got cold feet. He wasn't ready to retire. 87, Andy was looking to buy something and needed a partner to help him pull the deal off from a couple of aspects. And that's the year that Andy and I bought the company from Sam and Mort. There you see the picture of the four of us in 1987. And if you take a look at that, Sam Marcus is still with us at 92. As I've described it, I have the stablest job around in that this company's only had 4 presidents since 1923. Sam's dad, Sam, Andy, and myself.
Wow.
So that's kind of how I got here. And Andy passed away in 1996. I bought out his widow, and his widow and I are still on very friendly terms. So, a little bit of unusual in those kind of transactions. But that's kind of how I got here.
Sure.
Now, let me go into a little bit of the history of the company.
Sure.
And when I start out with, and you'll occasionally see this on our advertising materials, they talk about since 1843.
Okay.
There's been a foundry on this site since 1843. It has had innumerable partnerships, entrepreneurial owners, etc. The first foundry is built by James Rogers in 1843. It was adjoining the Schuylkill Canal.
Oh, okay.
The Schuylkill Canal actually runs through our property. And if you really take a look at the materials on the real estate searches. The Schuylkill Navigation Company could run barges through our buildings.
Wow.
They just couldn't get it to the building. And I mean, finding the Schuylkill Navigation Company and getting the liens off, it's just not worth it.
Yeah,
So
right.
everybody has just let those things sit as is.
Wow.
Most of the stuff we did in the 19th century was like most of the other foundries in this area. They were making stoves.
Okay.
And we employed as high as 225 people in the 1870s and 1880s as a stove foundry. One of the big things in that era where we impacted the community was the 1881 fire.
Yeah.
When basically a barge going down the canal had a spark come off it, catch onto our buildings, and basically took down most of this side of Main Street in the borough of Spring City. There were a few things like Mechanics Hall, which is up the street, which we now own. That did not burn down, but most of the stuff on this side did burn down. And actually the Springville Hotel, which is the predecessor of the Spring City Hotel, was originally on the corner that we actually are on right now. And somehow we ended up buying that property when we rebuilt.
Okay.
And if you really think about it, the whole numbering of Spring City, it started at Main and Hall.
Yeah.
This is 1 South Main. When the bridge was built, kind of the town started to migrate a little bit farther in that direction. Mm-hmm. I was getting north, south, east, west confused here because the way things go around. If you take a look at the stove business, we weren't as successful in it probably, or the predecessor companies after the fire, because basically, as it was described to me, they were using nickel-plated stoves, and those high-tech guys at Buckwalter were putting porcelain on their stoves. So at times the site was in business, at other times it wasn't in business. And that's why some locals will refer to this, old-timers, as the White Elephant Foundry.
Oh, really?
Because it was an unoccupied foundry a couple of times during the early part of the 20th century. And one other thing we do have here is we have this picture here, which is kind of a group picture taken in 1906. Next to it there is another group picture taken in 2006, and we're promising the next group picture will be done in 2106. If you take
will be long gone.
I will be long, If you take
personally, not Spring City.
Yeah.
Electrical manufacturing.
Yeah. But I mean, if you take a look at what the company did during the early part of the 20th century, it was a jobbing foundry.
Yeah.
And the one big product that they were into was making motion projector stands.
Oh, really?
If you take a look at the big, old, heavy cast iron stand that was used for a motion projector, particularly in drive-in movies, most of them were made here.
Oh, wow.
In the 1940s, we started to get into making... step back here.
Yeah, that's right.
Key date, 1923. That was when Sam Marcus's dad bought the place at a bankruptcy auction.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the place has been operating continuously since 1923.
Yeah.
But that was kind of that transition. 1940s, we started getting into electrical products, be they cast iron junction boxes, which we still make to this day, as well as the lampposts. Our first lamppost contract was one that Sam's dad got in 1948. providing lampposts for Central Park.
Wow.
And I mean, right now on my desk is some materials where we're bidding on another Central Park project for the exact same design.
That's so cool.
Of lampposts.
They want to keep the history of the design.
Keep the history of the design and I mean, it's interesting. The lamppost itself, they're identical to what they were in. I think it was 1911 when they first went in.
That's incredible.
I mean, it was a design contest. And they're virtually identical design-wise. The fixtures on top of them have probably gone through about 5 generations.
Okay.
I mean, they're first incandescent and high-intensity discharge, and most recently we were awarded a contract about 5 years ago to redo in all of Central Park with LED fixtures.
Okay.
So, I mean, we've done, I mean, it's a continual thing. If you take a look at how our facility has evolved, the picture that you took in front of the building is just one small corner of the situation. You see the full picture up there.
Yeah, we'll get a shot of it for you guys to see it.
Yeah, the building, I mean, the rest of the complex is ours. I mean, we got
the little section we're in is like a tiny little thing compared to the rest of it,
Yeah.
And from the street, you can't even
see it. From the street, you can't see it.
Yeah.
I mean, we got 100,000 square feet on 8 acres, and we've got 2 other buildings, Mechanics Hall, or the Old Tall Cedars, as it's sometimes known, up the street, and then 500 South Main down the street.
Right.
But I think, let me talk a little bit about the company today and the products that it makes.
Sure.
I mean, we manufacture cast iron lampposts, cast aluminum lampposts, as well as the LED fixtures that go on it. Again, we are utilizing your classic period designs. About 7 or 8 years ago, we filed a couple of patent applications where these are kind of things that only somebody that lived in a foundry would ever try and figure out to do. And that is how you use a cast aluminum roof as a heat sink.
Oh.
Because with LEDs, it's very important that you keep them cool and heat sink them.
Okay.
And we found a way to integrate that cast roof into the heat sink. Also, we came up with some other methods of using castings to heat sink LEDs. And as I say, LED fixtures are about 50% of our business now.
That's incredible, yeah.
I mean, these are the green new jobs that everybody's referring to.
Sure.
If you take a look at where we sell this, in fact, virtually all of the cast iron lampposts or cast aluminum lampposts that appear on the streets of Boston, New York, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. are made by us.
That's incredible. That's so amazing.
As well as, I mean, you won't see markings on those because the cities do not allow it. Where you do see markings is on the main street of Disney World.
Oh, wow.
And if you go through Disney World and look carefully, you'll see on the bottom, Spring City, PA.
That's so cool. It's a small world after all.
It's a small world after all. And I mean,
just like a Disney World.
In addition to these large cities, the lampposts on the borough of Spring City and the borough of Royersford were all made by us.
Yeah.
So,
well, I would hope so.
You'd hope so. Yeah, you really hope so.
That would be really rude of Spring City Borough to not use their homegrown business.
And
no offense, Spring City Borough.
No, I mean, if you take a look at our business, a majority of it is sold to governments.
Yeah.
But we also deal with colleges and universities. We deal with real estate developers. We deal, as I mentioned, we have what we call our amusement segment, which is actually theme parks and casinos.
Oh, okay.
And in spite of the way you might see them as being different types of things, in essence, they're pretty close to the same.
Yeah, they're the entertainment. Music,
they want what they want.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And they got the resources to pay for what they want.
Right.
I mean, I don't know whether you've ever come across people that have been suppliers to Disney.
No.
But, I mean, Disney, they got designers there. They will design something.
And you gotta deliver it. Yeah.
Yeah, you just click your heels together, salute, and say, "We'll do it for you." And
because if you don't, then they'll find someone else who will.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Oh no, and I mean we've gone through the same thing with the Wynn Casino up in Everett, Massachusetts, where they asked for some stuff that was really pushing the envelope of what we could do, and I mean we did succeed in doing it.
Yeah.
But it was putting some very complicated finishes on some cast lampposts, and we were able to pull it off. It wasn't easy, but it was. They wanted what they wanted.
Yeah.
And I mean, and the other interesting segment that's becoming a piece of our business is the 5G wireless world.
Okay.
And I mean, you say, what's an old foundry
and 5G
doing with 5G?
Yeah.
What it is with 5G, you need lots of antennas in a tight area.
Okay.
I mean, unlike a 4G, you can go every 5 to 10 miles with them. 5G, you're down to less than half a mile.
Oh, wow.
What do you have to do but disguise them?
Right.
And what's the easiest way to disguise them? Make them part of lampposts.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't...
Or make them look like lampposts.
Yeah, that's actually because I know there's a lot of the cell phone towers that are supposed to look like trees, and they just stand up like sequoias or
I mean, this is...
but that doesn't disguise it very well. But yeah, lampposts.
Yeah. I mean, and what we've been doing a lot of in the city of Boston, we don't build the steel part of the tower or the boxes or anything going. I mean, our business is providing decorative castings to make them look like lampposts.
Yeah, that's good.
So, we've done that part. And I mean, it is just kind of interesting. If you take a look at the places that our stuff ends up. And I mean, like sitting behind you is the picture of the U.S. Capitol.
Yeah.
Where the stuff on the grounds of the U.S. Capitol, almost all of it's made by us.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was just there with my family not long ago. I wish I had I kind of knew, but I didn't know. But the fact that you guys are in the 4 largest cities on the East Coast, that's incredible. And it's right here in Spring City where it's all coming from.
Yeah.
And I don't know if a lot of people really know that it's right here in our backyard.
Yeah.
And it's going out to, the biggest metropolises on the East Coast.
Oh, no, and
Disney World, which is
I was coming back up from Florida last spring, and I get this text from one of our salespeople. We just got a $600,000 order from AOC. And I was saying, I text back, is that part of her Green New Deal? Yeah. Well, AOC is not, in addition to being Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, is also the architect of the Capitol.
Oh, okay.
And we've dealt with the architect of the Capitol for about 60 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they have these, when they've got a specialized project, it's again, we're willing to do what they ask for. Right. And that is kind of one of the things that's becoming a bigger and bigger part of our business, in that if you want it and you're willing to pay for it, we'll do it. Yeah. So many other companies are getting into, well, this is our catalog. What do you want to buy in our catalog? We're to the point of, if you want it, and I mean, one of the custom projects that we're involved in right now is New Jersey State Capitol.
Oh, okay.
Where on the New Jersey State Capitol, they want to reproduce what they had in front of the Capitol in 1906.
Wow.
And I mean, they have pictures of it. They don't have drawings of it, but they've got pictures of it. And we have one gentleman who's, I think Brian's been with us almost 20 years, Brian Rash, Royersford resident, who can take a picture of something and turn it into a drawing that, it's all CAD drawings now, and the patterns are made, with 3D printing and all of that. And we've been able to reproduce what New Jersey had in front of their capital in 1906.
How does that work? Like, so he comes up with a drawing and then he submits it back to them to see if that's what they meant, or compare it to the picture.
Okay, they compare in that one. They compared it to the picture, and then also we produced a half-scale mock-up of it. Because it is a CAD drawing, it's in SolidWorks. We can get a 3D printed model of it. And people will often ask, 3D printing. Well, is 3D printing is supplant casting? In terms of production, no. Because it's just too darn expensive. But in terms of making patterns and molds, virtually everything we have done over the past 5 to 10 years has been based on 3D CAD drawings and 3D printing. So that, with something like that, we actually gave the New Jersey State Capitol
a miniature version,
a half-scale version. That was what got their final approval.
That's great, and that's so much. For them, it's probably more peace of mind, I would imagine, too, because they can literally see what it's going to look like on a smaller scale.
No, I mean, this is a company that it utilizes some very old processes, and it utilizes some very new technology. I mean, whenever you attend a foundry seminar, they always talk about, the Egyptians were using lost wax casting. To cast jewelry back 3000 BC, and it's the same process being, castings have been around since 3000 BC, but you've got CAD drawing and, CAD production, as well as CNC machining, which is really kind of a variant of CAD, where, you got machines where you got an X-axis, Y-axis, and Z-axis. You put the tool at a certain 3D point, it does the certain thing. Next thing I kind of started into this with Brian, is really the employees of this company. We've got 110 employees here, and these tend to be very long-term employees. We figured out it was a combined total of 1,200 years experience with the company.
That's incredible.
And part of this is an environment that you don't too often see in your modern corporate world. We haven't laid anybody off since 1998. All of our employees are covered by defined benefit pension plans. All of these jobs have health insurance. So, there's that aspect covered. People that...
I was going to say, the fact that not only are you guys getting the loyalty of people being here for so long, but they're getting something that most companies don't really offer in this day and age. It's kind of like a churn and burn. It seems to be, whether people like it or not in the corporate world, it's kind of like you work really hard, you burn out, you move on to another job, and then you work really hard, you burn out, you move on to another. And then the company's just like, they're just like, all right, well, then our benefits package is going to take that into account, that these people aren't going to be here very long, and then everything kind of dwindles in terms of the benefits on either side of the employee and then the employer. So that's interesting to hear the difference.
Some of the quote young guys that are my 5 key direct reports, these are all guys in their 40s or 50s. They've all been with the company, with one exception, for in excess of 20 years.
Wow, that's incredible.
We have brought people up through the ranks, and it's helped us with the with the growth of the company.
Sure.
I mean, we're having a record year this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, sales are up about 35% over last year, and
That's incredible.
if you really got to make the stuff, that's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Employees tend to live between, kind of Phoenixville on out. I mean, we've got people living out as far out as Ephrata,
Yeah.
some
Oh, wow.
Coatesville people, Reading people, a lot of Spring City people, Royersford people.
Yeah.
But I mean, they tend to live in the area. I'm the oddball. I live down in Radnor.
Oh, okay.
Our employees are represented by the Glass Molders and Potters Union, which is now part of the United Steelworkers.
Okay.
But the last strike we had was 1981. And the rabble-rouser that led that last strike, Charlie Lanyon, retired 4 years ago as our vice president of manufacturing. So
he wasn't too disgruntled.
he wasn't too disgruntled. I think he wants some time off.
Yeah.
That was what was the driving thing behind that strike. And it's interesting, and I was hoping I'd have a copy of it for you here today, but they haven't come in yet.
Right.
The United Steelworkers had some people coming through the facility, and taking pictures of people at work. And we are the featured company in the United Steelworkers magazine,
Oh, wow.
the fall issue of it.
Oh, wow.
Because you've got a situation with the United Steelworkers where they've been a very successful acquirer of unions.
Okay.
And only about 25% of the United Steelworkers really make steel.
Oh, okay.
They got as many people making paper, cast lampposts, pottery, beer bottles. I mean, it's a very diverse union as to what all they cover.
Sure.
And so that's one of the things they have in their magazine is just, what all, the United Steelworkers make. In addition to, our employees in the area, we have a real network of suppliers in the area.
Okay.
And in preparation for this, I kind of sat down and did a few quick calculations. And about 10 to 12% of our sales occur within 50 miles of this facility.
Yeah.
50% of our purchases of things are from suppliers that are within 50 miles of this facility. And 100% of our payroll is within 50 miles of this facility. And what you really see on that is the impact that what I might call an export-oriented manufacturer can have on the local economy
for sure.
of an area. In that I'd be willing to bet you virtually every business that you've done in this series you've done had people our employees spend money in it.
Right, for sure.
And I think Bill Hoffman, even mentioned us as a source of tenants for him. But I mean, it's the insurance broker. You go down to Lancaster County, which is within a 50-mile radius, you've got aluminum foundries that are supplying us. You've got pattern makers up in Allentown. And it's that whole universe of suppliers that, I mean, it's jobs and jobs multiplying.
For sure.
And I mean, we're very proud of the jobs, good jobs that we create in the area. Both directly and indirectly.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that the folks that are within this 50-mile radius, they're getting work, like you had said, for their companies that you're purchasing items from, and then all of that work is then going to New York, Central Park. You know, Boston, colleges and universities, Disney World. You know, so I think it's really cool. Like for anybody who's watching this that's going to go to Disney World or is in plans. No, like make that a point. Like I know you want to go to, you know, whatever the big, I don't even know, I've never been, but what are the big attractions, Galaxy's Edge and all the big attractions that they have there. But make sure you stop and look at the lampposts because those came from our backyard. I just can't get over that. That's so cool. But yeah, like the folks in this area are having such an impact. And they might not think of it like when they're just going to work and clocking in or whatever. But like it's really... I think it's cool that the work that's being done is being appreciated by not just people in this community, but everyone.
No, and I mean, this is one of the things that was interesting when you talked about, when you first approached me on this interview, is, you know, I want our employees, their neighbors, to know about what all we do here.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we are most of the time in some form of hiring mode.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, CAD draft people, engineers, salespeople, you know, foundry workers, CNC operators. Those are all those are good jobs.
Yeah.
And those are jobs that we are perpetually looking to fill.
Yeah. And the fact that you have, you know, the business has evolved, you know, obviously from stoves all the way to LED and
5G.
Yeah, or 5G. I mean, the fact that you guys have been able to pivot in that way is a testament to the longevity of the company, I think, and the tenure of the employees, because you're bringing people with various backgrounds to meet the new demands of what your vendors and I'm sorry, like your clients are looking for, and the fact that you're willing to say,
and I mean, we
don't know how to do it right now, but we'll get it done. You know,
we're still operating, you know, with a foundry facility where some of these buildings go back to 1890.
That's incredible.
No, some of them go back that far. And
yeah.
Again, if anybody wants to really get into the weeds on what our production process looks like and what goes on with that, we have had a couple of videos on PCN tours where they have come through and, you know, I walked them through a tour of the plant, and they just videotaped it and they put it up there. Also, if you're interested in more information on the company, you can get us at www.springcity.com.
Yeah.
And let me tell you the story of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's got to be a story in the fact that you have springcity.com and the actual borough of Spring City does not. So.
Well, it all occurred back in the mid-1990s when people were first starting to claim domain names. And we looked it up, and there was somebody in the spring business that had just gone out and claimed a whole bunch of domain names, including Spring City. Because you want to come there to your city for spring. Well, anyway, about 1995, 96, they let the Spring City domain name lapse. And Jim Madera came up to my office and said, "Hey, springcity.com is available. Do it."
Right now.
I don't think... I mean, if you'd gone up, I don't know, I don't think the borough had a website till 2010 maybe. But I mean, that was where we claimed the Spring City domain.
And that's a lot easier to type in than Spring City Electrical Manufacturing Company.
Right. You know? Oh yeah. No, it is.
Or having an acronym or something that people have to remember.
No, but it's springcity.com.
Yeah. And I know that you know, your online social media stuff, it's Spring City Electrical.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit easier than typing in manufacturing company and all that kind of stuff.
No, and I mean, we are not we're on LinkedIn. We use LinkedIn.
That's where actually I found you.
We use LinkedIn fairly heavily. Yeah. We use Facebook and to a certain extent, we're using Instagram as well.
Yeah, and I think that Instagram is cool because I know around here I've seen obviously a lot of pictures, and you can find it online, pictures of the work that you guys have created in its habitat, for lack of
Right.
a better term. So you can actually see, and I'll show the picture, the lamppost in front of the Capitol building, and that I would imagine that type of image gets attention. You know
Right.
what I mean? And it brings it back to the company, because that's not necessarily something that you can see coming to the plant, but
Right.
you can see it, and I think it speaks volumes just seeing it in the way it's supposed to be
Right.
operated, or
Oh no, and I think
yeah.
what we're doing on a lot of that social media marketing is every week or two
Yeah.
we're featuring another project.
Yeah.
And there was one recently where Georgetown University, we did something that went in front of one of their dorms, I believe it was, and some nice pictures of it, and we sent it out on LinkedIn. Congratulations to all our Hoya friends.
Yeah.
so
That's great.
no, I mean, there's lots of opportunities that people have to find out about us,
Yeah,
and
we'll include all those
thank
links with the video, obviously.
I thank you for giving us another chance to present ourselves on the
it's my pleasure.
media, and it's also it's also been an opportunity for me to talk about things in a little different way
Sure.
than you do in some of the stuff you post on other social media. So,
Yeah, for sure. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's one of the things I love about doing this show, is getting the personal connection to the business, as opposed to just, we're open these hours, call us at blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like just hearing the history, especially I geek out for, when I sit down, and especially with businesses that have been around for as long as this one, hearing all the various iterations that it's gone through, hearing about the families that have been impacted by it, the fact that there's only been 4 presidents, and from what I gather, 2 of them were from the same family, right?
Yeah.
And then the 2, the second or the third and fourth were from the same partnership.
Yeah.
So, that even makes it even a smaller group of people that were overseeing this company, and that's just incredible to see where it is and the reach that Spring City is having as a result of Spring City Electrical Manufacturing Company. So, Alan, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Well, that's all the time we have for today's episode of Discover Springford. I want to thank you for watching, and I also want to thank Alan for his time today. If you'd like to know more about the Spring City Electrical Manufacturing Company and find out where you can find their lampposts throughout the country, you can visit the links below the video. Included with those links is a virtual tour that was done of the property here. If you like Discover Springford and want to support the work that we're doing to highlight the Springford area, you can do that in a number of ways. The easiest is by going to our website. You can sign up for our newsletter. You can also share this video with your friends and family on social media, or you can support us financially in one of 3 ways. You can support us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. You can also make a one-time contribution via PayPal, or you can purchase some of our merchandise in our store. Thanks again for watching. Come back next time, where we continue to discover more of what makes the Springford area a great place to live, work, eat, and explore.